It is day 52 of the 1 year fast. I am 44 hours into a 48-hour fast. Again, the protocol for the 1 year fast is for me to fast for 3 days per week. I choose the days for 52 consecutive weeks. Again, I'm about 44 hours into a 48-hour fast. I just took my blood-based ketone reading for the very first time, hopeful for a good number, and the number was really disappointing. So according to my blood-based ketone reader, I'm not in ketosis. It was 0.3. And I will share my quick demonstration of how I actually took that blood reading. Again, really low, 44 hours of just hydrogenated water, some electrolytes. I thought I would see some level of ketosis, but I'm not. So just to compare the blood-based ketone readings with my breath-based ketone readings, I thought I'd do one of those now. So this is a breath-based. I'm going to show the blood-based demo probably at the end of this video. Again, press the button, you blow into the inlet after 20-second countdown, and then you blow for about 10 seconds, you get your reading. So it's really easy. So again, really disappointed to see a 0.3 on the blood-based ketone reader, not in ketosis. And it's a level 5 on the breath-based ketone reader, and that is really mild ketosis. So according to my breath-based ketone reader, level 5, really mild ketosis. According to my blood-based ketone reader, 0.3, not in ketosis. So not too impressive. So I'll keep on persevering with the 2 different ketone readers. Try again on my next 72-hour fast. Maybe there's some lessons there. Maybe we're all different. Maybe some people can get into a state of ketosis sooner than others. Clearly, I'm not demonstrating the capacity to get into deep ketosis even after a 44-hour fast. Yeah, maybe there's more research there. I'll probably put another web page up on oneyearfast.com, just comparing blood-based versus breath-based ketone readers and how to interpret the results. But apparently BHP, the blood-based ketone readers, are much more stable and reliable in terms of delivering results that are accurate. Or as you will see when you look at my demonstration, my blood-based ketone reader showed me at 0.3 BHP, which is in a state of feeding, not in a state of fasting. So yeah, not too impressive. But we'll persevere with that one. We'll keep on persevering. As I mentioned on 1 or 2 occasions in the past, the main purpose of these videos is really to document, record how I'm feeling, how I'm acting, in terms of emotional, mental, psychological, and spiritual health. And in that regard, I tend to just share a moment of reverie or reflection or remembrance that really helps potentially tease out any indicators. So on the point of reflection, I've been thinking more and more recently about the whole of the conversation around carbon footprints, environmental concern, being concerned about Gaia, our planet, being very much in tune with the environment. And this mantra that comes from certain parties, which seems to pontificate the necessity for being environmentally conscious, whilst at the same time, in complete contradiction, pushing all of the manufacturing into industrial hubs like China, India, other parts of the Far East, and then shipping all of those produced items from those locations across the world into markets such as the US or Canada or Europe, it does seem a bit of a contradiction. And therein, probably you would question the motives of those individuals, those parties. And that becomes very frustrating because it undermines a really, really important subject, which is the environment. How do we take care of the environment? And this got me thinking about a personal incident. I used to be a partner in a company called Kit Me Out, and Kit Me Out was one of the early adopters of the internet to sell clothing. And I remember we started that company and we sold the vast majority of our products around the world. And that really kind of concerned me early on, because I'm thinking to myself, we've got all these products within the UK, and basically we're taking orders and using all of this energy to ship these products around the world, to the US, to the Far East, to the Middle East, to Europe. And I'm thinking to myself, why is that product not available within that local community? Why would somebody need to pay to have that item shipped halfway around the world? Which raises a whole conversation around local manufacturing. Should there be more of an onus from incentives and government to encourage people to produce more items locally? Particularly within the US. You look at the US, there's such a dearth of manufacturing to be the production powerhouse of the world. And today, it produces it produces very, very little, which is clearly an area that we should all be questioning as American citizens. And that reminds me too, I remember, so again, I was a partner within kitmeout.com, and I came across from the UK to the US. And I remember one of the brands we had in the UK was Burberry. And this was in 2005. And Burberry in the UK acquired a certain stigma, and few people wanted to actually buy the product. It was looked upon as a bit of a hooligan brand, so a brand that maybe certain people of a certain ilk might buy that most people didn't want to be associated with. So it's quite interesting that. So we had hundreds and hundreds of Burberry caps in the UK, quite expensive, that we couldn't sell at retail price, even with a reduction. I came to the US, and as an extension of the store, the e-commerce store, I actually worked with Amazon to have a Amazon web store. So back in 2005, AWS didn't stand for Amazon Web Services. It stood for Amazon Web Store. And so you can have a store, your own branded interface within the Amazon ecosystem where you sell your products. And I remember putting the Burberry caps that we could not sell in the UK for love nor money onto the US-based AWS store. And literally within less than 2 weeks, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of these Burberry caps were sold to American citizens. And we were shipping over all of these caps from the UK to the US and selling them to US customers. Because in the US, Burberry had a different connotation that it did back in the UK. Again, back in England, it had a certain stigma. In the US, it didn't have that particular stigma. It was still looked upon as a high quality brand, which clearly the brand is. So there's a couple of interesting points around that. One being how a brand can be perceived differently in one country to another, almost complete opposites, completely polarized views. And then two, that you would need to ship a product all the way around the world. So let's think about that product. It was produced in the Far East. It was shipped into Europe. It was meant to be sold in Europe. It couldn't sell in Europe. So it was shipped to the US and sold in the US. Think of the carbon footprint there. That's immense. And that really is what the internet and e-commerce has done to the world. opened up this whole network of shipping and supply chains that straddle the world, and there's no concentrated local manufacturing to service local communities. And all of that reality is contradicted by the mantra that we hear from industry and politicians that we should all be aware of our carbon footprint. It really is quite interesting. So the answer probably is to look to offer incentives to enable local manufacturing in the US, to see more manufacturing across all states of the US, to service the local communities. And also within Europe. I know within England, there used to be, Northamptonshire used to be the hub of footwear manufacturing. Today it's almost non-existent. And even the powerhouses of Italy and Spain are being more and more marginalized by the Far East. And that bias, that unbalanced reality, is certainly not in alignment with ensuring that we can reduce our carbon footprint. In fact, it probably exacerbates negative impact to the environment. So it's really frustrating to listen to these industrialists, these politicians that continuously pontificate around the value of protecting the environment. At the same time, they legislate and have strategies that completely fly in the face of that reality. Yeah. That's enough of me rambling on for one day. But as you can see, I do have my concerns around the duplicitous nature of our politicians, our industrialists, our venture capitalists, our leaders. They really, they say one thing and they do another. And that helps nobody. Well, maybe it helps a few. But overall, we do need to find a path where genuine environmental concern is brought to the surface, and we can all collectively protect the planet and reduce our carbon footprint. But that would need some readjusting of where we manufacture. Okay, so as we've seen, day 52 of the 1 year fast, I've taken my ketone readings with a breath-based ketone reader, a low number just in ketosis, and then also with a blood-based ketone reader, and according to that, I'm not in ketosis. So that's really disappointing after 45 hours or so getting such a poor reading. One would have hoped to be in ketosis, but clearly, according to the blood-based, I'm not. According to the breath-based, I'm in really low-grade ketosis, a very low status. And apparently of the two readers, the blood-based is much more reliable, the breath-based is a little bit more volatile. So I have to work on that one. Okay, so that's me for day 52 of the 1 year fast, coming to the end of a 48-hour fast today. I'll be eating again tomorrow, so non-fasting day tomorrow, and then back fasting on Thursday for 24 hours.